So the story begins inside a movie theater in a town called Derry. The theater attendant sees a young child, Maddie, sneak into the theater. Maddie realizes he's seen her, so Maddie hides in the theater lobby. Just then, she overhears the attendant asking his daughter, Ronnie, "Did you see Maddie?" A girl named Tony spots Maddie standing behind the stands. But to protect Maddie, she lies to her father, saying he might have gone the other way. Maddie uses this excuse to escape. Then we see Maddie on the road leading out of town. He's already so far ahead that he's almost crossed the city. Suddenly, a car carrying a family stops near him. The woman in the car asks Maddie if she needs a lift. The man, too, was probably upset to see Maddie on the road. He says, "Come, I'll drop you off at your parents' house." Maddie, silently, sits in the back seat and says, "I don't want to go to my parents' house. I don't even want to go back to Derry. You guys can take me anywhere else." The lady says, "Oh, then you're lucky. We're going to Portland too. I'll take you there too." At this point, Maddie was sitting among the couple's children. The atmosphere was quite strange. The couple's daughter suddenly opened a plastic box containing a liver, which had been taken by some animal. This made Maddie feel sick. But now, she couldn't even tolerate the things the girl did. She stuck her fingers inside the liver, took it out, and sniffed it herself, and tried to force Maddie to sniff it too. Ignoring all this, the girl's mother was taking her son's spelling test. Meanwhile, Maddie notices that the car is also turning back toward Derry, not Portland. This alarms him, and he tries to get out. But the car doors are locked. He even tells the man to stop. But when he doesn't listen, he tries to take the steering wheel to stop himself. But they force him back into the car. And then the child starts chanting strange words, death, murder, and so on, scaring Maddie even more. At the same time, we see that the woman was actually pregnant. And suddenly, she begins experiencing terrible pains. Then we see that, tearing her body apart, not a baby, but a terrifying creature emerges from her womb. This creature, while apparently human-like, was not human. It had 2 human heads, sharp, bird-like limbs, and bat-like wings, making it a terrifying sight. As soon as it was born, it began to fly. When the woman tried to catch it, the creature tried to escape and crashed into the rear window of the car. Poor Maddie, terrified, put her pacifier in her mouth and covered her ears. She didn't have the courage to witness what was happening. The scene suddenly changes, and we see the same car from outside. The window shatters, and Maddie's pacifier falls out of it. The same pacifier now floats in the water, passing under the title card. We are shown the season's title card. Finally, the scene cuts away, and the main season begins. We are shown scenes from 4 months later. We are introduced to some new characters and the Derry base. A boy watches from the film bias as a plane lands at Derry Air Force Base. From inside this plane, we see Major Lee and Captain Polly Rosso emerge. They are told that their airbase is only 7 hours away from Summit Base, meaning it's the first line of defense, and its protection is extremely important. They discuss a special project, and their conversation gives us the impression that something is abnormal here. The scene cuts to the local high school, where we see a young girl, Lily. The school environment is very strange for Lily, as the children call her names a lot. Even when she walks down the corridor, they look at her strangely. Lily opens her locker and finds several pickle jars there. One of them is a jar. It was tied to its lock with a thread. When the locker door opens, the jar falls out, and everyone laughs hysterically. Lily's friends scold everyone else for being rude to her. Meanwhile, at the same school, Phil and Teddy, who were previously monitoring the airbase, are talking about aliens. Phil believed in aliens and was also convinced that something was amiss at the alien base. Something seemed out of the ordinary there. Every time they looked there, they felt something unusual. Phil felt that the military base was hiding something. He even felt that World War III was about to break out. Therefore, he shouldn't even prepare for the test. The next scene shows us the airspace scene again, where many of his juniors try to belittle Major Lay because he was from the black community. Just then, the journals are shown, reminding all the juniors of their mistake. Meanwhile, we're shown Phil and his friend, who, while studying, have started talking about Maddie again. 4 months have passed, but Maddie hasn't been found, nor have the police found her dead body. The police believed she had run away and hidden somewhere. Dad tells Phil that it was all our fault. He left the house angry because of us. His mom even gave us candy to go to his birthday party, but we still forgot. He then tells him, Maddie can't be brought back to life by reminiscing about the past. So, I think we should drop this topic. The scene cuts, and in the next scene, we see Larry standing in the bathroom. She looks at a piece of her bracelet and remembers the time Maddie called her to the viewing deck on the tower. Although this place had been abandoned for centuries, Teddy and his friend Maddie had made it their secret hideout. One day, Maddie took Lily there, gave her a turtle shard, and told her not to tell anyone that he had brought her there. In the present, we see Lily still lost in those memories when her mother arrives and tells her to prepare for tomorrow. We have to go to your dad's grave, she says. It's been a full year since Lily's father died. Lily doesn't want to go there. Her mother then tells her to be brave. You're not the only one grieving in this world. Many people have great sorrows, but they live their lives normally. After Lily's mother leaves, Lily turns on the tap to flush the bath and suddenly hears Maddie's voice from inside her brain. He's singing the same song she heard at the beginning of this season. This sound initially frightens Lily, but then Lily thinks Maddie is trapped in the sewer. Lily yells, Maddie, Maddie, and asks her to come home. Maddie replies, they're not letting me come home. Hearing this, Lily becomes confused. Suddenly, we see blood-soaked fingers emerge from the drain, terrifying Lily. The scene cuts to Lily at school the next day, telling her friend how she heard Maddie's voice from the drain, and then saw the blood-soaked fingers. Her friend, Marge, doesn't believe it because she's an old friend of Lily's and knows Lily never lies, so she has to trust her. Marge advises Lily not to share this with anyone else, or people will think she's stupid. There are already plenty of rumors about her at school. People think she's a psycho. Do you understand? Lily falls silent. But as evening approaches, Lily meets Phil and Teddy, Maddie's friends, on the tower's viewing deck. They first discuss Maddie's death, and then Lily reveals everything to them yesterday. But like Marge, Phil, and Teddy don't believe her. Meanwhile, Major Leroy meets with General Shaw at his office. Their secret conversation reveals that Leroy was called to Derry to finish his Korean War work. Shaw wants Leroy to test the Army's new B-52 jet, and if necessary, attack the enemy. Meanwhile, Teddy is having dinner with his family when he suddenly asks his father if a child could be kidnapped and imprisoned underground. Can it be kept? His entire family is shocked by the question, and his father discourages him from asking such questions, explaining that their elders have suffered great hardships. They witnessed the Holocaust, which means they saw so many people murdered at the same time, and you just had a friend disappear. You can't live in that trauma for long, and you have to get back to normal and focus on your studies. Poor Teddy goes silently to his room and starts reading a comic book. Suddenly, the lamp next to him flickers and then goes off. After a brief moment of darkness, when the lights return, the scene is terrifying. Teddy sees that the lamp's shade is completely filled with the mutilated faces of their Jewish leaders. Terrified, Teddy kicks the lamp and drops it, then gets out of bed and hides under the table. The lamp also wobbles towards him, and suddenly, the faces on it begin speaking loudly to him. Terrified, Teddy hides his face and screams. The light goes off again, and the lamp is dragged back to the nightstand. At this moment, his brother opens the door to the room, and seeing Teddy cowering under the table in fear, he can't believe it's his brother, as Teddy considered himself very brave. The next day, Teddy meets his two friends, Lily and the movie star, and tells them everything that happened that night. This time, he starts vomiting while talking. But the good thing is that his friends believe him. The three of them decide to investigate Maddie's case themselves and try to find her. They go to the library and start gathering news and gathering all the information they can about the case. The film's younger sister is also with them at this time. While reading the news, they find an article stating that a 12-year-old boy and his father last saw Maddie. At the end of the article, they read that the police have declared Maddie dead and are citing homicide as the reason for her death. This means that she died because of her family. But for some reason, these three children know that Mandy is either alive, in trouble, or that there's a big secret hidden behind Maddie's wanderings. Therefore, they decide to go to Rohani's house, the woman who saved Maddie from her father at the beginning of the story. When they come to Rohani and tell him that they've come to question him about Maddie, Bat Kai angrily tells them to leave, as the police had already accused their tadpole of murder. They leave dejectedly, and Lily begins to sing to her friends, a song she hears in Maddie's voice every day from inside the drain. It's a song not many people have heard. Ronnie stops them and says, "I know where Maddie heard it." The scene cuts from here, and we see two men wearing gas masks attack Major Leroy. They didn't intend to harm Leroy. They simply came to ask for the specs for the new B-52 jet. Major Leroy isn't a traitor to protect himself. He doesn't give up any information to the masked men, instead fighting them. He even knocks one of them down, snatches his gun, and points it at him. Just then, Captain Russo quickly arrives in the room, killing the attackers and driving them away. The scene then cuts to the next day. The next day, Ronnie takes Lily, Phil, and Teddy to the movie theater, breaking the lock without anyone's permission. Once inside, Ronnie plays the movie that Maddie watched at the beginning of the season. It's the song that only Ronnie, Lily, and Maddie have heard. Lily says, "Yes, it's the same song Maddie sang from the bathroom drain." While they're talking, the children suddenly see Maddie on the screen. Strangely, Maddie is holding a baby wrapped in a swaddling cloth. The children realize that the world behind the screen isn't what they're seeing. They understand that it's a spiritual world, and this is the real world. The children begin to encourage Maddie. Maddie tells her to get out of that world, off the screen, and into the real world. But Maddie refuses to come back. He first hides his head inside the baby, and as soon as he lifts it up, a terrifying, dark smile appears on his face. Maddie then throws the baby forcefully at the screen, and shockingly, the baby tears through the screen and emerges. As soon as it leaves the screen, the baby begins to fly, and we see that it is actually the same creature that was born at the beginning of the season. These two human-faced bat-like creatures have now started attacking the children. The first two children run away, while the creature grabs Teddy. Lily freezes in fear and looks up. The creature had just attacked Daddy and tore Teddy to pieces. Teddy's blood turns Lily red. Lily becomes extremely frightened and notices that the creature has doubled in size after killing Teddy. The creature then attacks Phil and brutally kills him as well. Lily was trying to hide under the chairs when she noticed Teddy's sister there. They grabbed each other's hands from below. But then the creature attacked the little girl as well, killing her as well. Terrified, she ran to the door where Ronnie was on the other side, and Ronnie had opened it. Once outside, they locked the door from inside to prevent the creature from escaping. But it was too late. Lily's 3 friends had been killed. They hugged each other and began crying, terrified by the constant sounds of the creature inside. The creature howled terrifyingly. As Ronnie moves away from Lily, she notices that she's still holding the hand of the same girl she held inside the theater. Seeing this, she screams even louder. With her scream, her eyes suddenly open, revealing that it was all a dream. She prayed that everything she saw was just a hallucination, a dream. But her prayers failed as she realized that everything she saw was true. At this time, the police were outside her house. Following Maddie, news of 3 more children's disappearances had been reported, and the police were now searching for them. Only Ronnie and Lily know the truth about the children's disappearances, and they are both in shock. Ronnie's father is also shown trying to calm his son down, but she doesn't speak. She remains completely silent, traumatized by what she has witnessed. Meanwhile, Lyra's family is also shown to have moved in, now that his father has moved in. Lyra's son, Will, was very excited for his new home. However, he began to feel a strange sense of dread after moving to the city. Lyra jokingly gave his son a telescope, suggesting he use it to spy on the laborers, but Will wisely refused. Meanwhile, in high school, we are shown that the situation is dire. Children are extremely scared, and Lily is still not attending school. Lily's only friend in her quest to become famous has joined a strange group of girls and along with them mocks the other children. Today, when Ronnie and Lily arrive at school, everyone stares at Ronnie in the corridors, but Lily, without hesitation, approaches Ronnie. Lily's old friend tries to lead her towards her group. However, Lily lets go of her hand as she no longer cares about any group. Her friends were dead, and now she had to be with Ronnie, the only one who could understand her pain. Major Loy's son, Will, also attends the same school, and his first day goes terribly, as everyone there bullies him. However, Will eventually finds a boy who sympathizes with her and rescues her from the bullies. The scene cuts to Major Lay, who has learned that the people who attacked him the previous night weren't traitors or spies, but members of his own army who disliked Leroy because he was black. The scene then cuts to Ronnie. While she was sleeping, she suddenly wakes up in fear. She begins to suffocate because her comfort no longer rests with a human being. The hall had changed and wrapped itself around her bed so tightly that Ronnie was suffocating. The environment becomes so filled with blood that it seems as if Ronnie is inside someone's body. Suddenly, the skin bursts, and Ronnie's mother enters and tells Ronnie in a strange tone, "You are responsible for my death, and you are also responsible for the death of those children." At this moment, it appears as if Ronnie is inside her mother's womb, and someone pulls her umbilical cord, revealing a monster that is about to eat her. Seeing this terrifying black monster with yellow eyes, Ronnie becomes extremely frightened and screams loudly. In the present, it is shown that everything has disappeared from there. Hearing her scream, her father arrives and thinks Ronnie has had a nightmare. But Ronnie knew that everything that had happened here was real, and she was terrified. On the other side of the scene, we see 3 military officers interrogating the police. However, the local police refuse to include them in the interrogation and expel them. Despite this, they secretly monitor the police. They spend a considerable time at the site where the police are excavating for interrogation. Suddenly, one officer begins to feel unwell, as if affected by some energy. A twist is revealed. The police and military consider the town of Derry so important because it has always played a crucial role during times of war. Now, both the police and military believe that there is some energy or force beneath the town that is harming them or could harm them, and that is why they are conducting joint interrogations. Excavations are even underway at various locations within Derry. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie and Lee reunite at school and talk about their friends' deaths. The police are still investigating their friends, but haven't found any clues. Ronnie tells Lily that she should tell the police everything. But Lily says, "Ronnie, try to understand me. I can't do that. I have a past medical history. My mental health wasn't good. People considered me a psycho. And if I mentioned anything like this to them, instead of believing me, they would think I was psycho again and send me back to the mental hospital." Meanwhile, we see the police arrive at the school and take Lily away. The investigation begins. Lily doesn't want to tell them anything, but they take advantage of Lily's fear and ask her many questions, twisting their words. They pressure him, then interpret his answers in their own way, fabricating a statement and using it to arrest Ronnie's father for the children's murder. When Ronnie learns that her father was arrested because of Lily, Ronnie begins to hate her. Meanwhile, we see Major Leroy approach General S.H. and tell him that the attackers were none other than his own soldiers. General S.H. is not surprised by this, and Leroy is enraged. S.H. explains to Leroy, "Look, that attack was part of our plan. We had you attacked to test your bravery, and now we are convinced of your bravery and honesty, and that is why I want you to be part of a secret mission." With this, he leads them to the intelligence base. He explains that the three countries, the Whites, Coben, and the U.S., are searching for only one thing, a centuries-old power that spreads its terror everywhere, and we must find it ourselves before Subbed and Coben do. Meanwhile, we see Lily shopping. We see that her mental state has deteriorated again. While shopping, she hears strange noises around her. She even sees dead people. She sees pictures of her friends on cereal boxes. And even inside a pickle jar, she is shown the rotten face of her father, accusing her of being responsible for the deaths of her friends. Seeing all this, Lily begins to scream loudly, even dropping the pickle jar from her hand. At this moment, she was unconscious. When she regained consciousness, she saw people around her looking at her in surprise. But it felt like a farce. Everyone realized that Lily had gone psychotic again. Therefore, Lily was sent back to a psychiatric hospital. The scene cuts to a few soldiers digging a hole. While digging, they find a car, still containing human skeletons. This car dates back to around 1930. The discovery of this car makes the military feel that they have come much closer to the ancient power they seek. They are overjoyed. However, they should be afraid because when the power, which has been dormant for centuries, awakens, it will cause great devastation, something they have no idea about. The scene suddenly shifts to flashback, showing us a carnival from the 1930s. A younger version of General S.H. is shown, a time when General S.H. was much younger. At the carnival, he becomes trapped inside a mirrored table. They find themselves trapped in a maze-like room filled with mirrors. They can't find a way out, only to be met by a strange, old man with one eye and the other in his hand. Sho becomes terrified, but finally finds a way out. While running, he bumps into his father. He tells him everything, but his father doesn't believe him. He gives him a slingshot, jokingly telling him that if he sees anything like this again, he should use it to protect himself. As S.H. and S.H.'s dad are heading home, their car suddenly breaks down. S.H. meets a little girl selling water. S.H. accepts water from her and exchanges his slingshot for it. The girl takes them to her group. The girl's group is having fun playing in the jungle, and Sho joins them. He was having so much fun playing that he started running towards the forest. Rose, the child, was catching up with him. But suddenly, she stops, and S.H. tells him not to go any further. S.H. says, "There's a deep forest ahead. We don't go there." S.H. asks her why. Before Rose can respond, the answer appears before her. The one-eyed man she saw at the carnival is here too. He suddenly enlarges his legs, transforms into a terrifying monster, and chases Sho. There's no time to stare in amazement. Sho runs for cover. The creature is chasing them, and it catches up with Rose. Rose saves herself and Sho by throwing a stone at the creature. After which, they escape the forest, and the scene cuts to Lily in the present. Lily is currently in a psychiatric hospital, and she's unhappy there as she hears strange voices of patients all day long. Meanwhile, we see Ronnie's father still under investigation, and the police, in an attempt to intimidate him, tell him that witnesses have signed testimony against him, claiming they saw him commit the murder. Despite all this, Ronnie's father refuses to tell the police, because what could he do if he didn't commit the murder? On the Digny side, the military discovers that the car they found, filled with skeletons, has nothing to do with the ancient power. General S.H. desperately needs to find it. Dick Harmon advises them to investigate the exact spot where they believe the power is emanating and is emanating. S.H. grants them permission and even provides a helicopter for this purpose. So Dick, along with Leroy and Rosso, sets off to investigate. Dick is currently holding the same old slingshot we saw Shu wield in the 1930s. Touching it, Dick experiences very old visions. He goes into a trance. He feels like he's not inside a helicopter, but a sewer, and within that sewer, he sees Pennywise's circus wagon. As the wagon falls, Dick sees glowing eyes and a huge pile of corpses. Within this pile, a body, that of his grandmother, has been transformed into a strange entity and asks him, "Who are you?" Dick tries to escape, but in his trance, he accidentally opens the helicopter's rear door in the real world. Leroy catches Dick at the last moment, or he would have fallen. After completing his mission, Dick returns to Shu, telling Shu that they won't dig up that thing and that they should stop boasting because that power is too dangerous. When I was above that power, it completely took over my mind, and I narrowly escaped death. Dick warns Shu that if they dig up the source, it could cause a catastrophe. But Shu is not going to listen. The scene then cuts back to the school children. It's revealed that Lily has returned to school, apologizes to Ronnie, and promises to tell the police the truth and get her father released. They also ask for Leroy's son, Will's, help in this endeavor. Will's friend joins the group and suggests they do something to bring out the evil that's been killing children. They should film the evil and provide evidence. Meanwhile, we see a town meeting. The military wants to speak to the townspeople, and here we see old Rose, who tells her son not to tell the police about the energy. A short while later, we see the show return to Rose 50 years later, because Rose hadn't given permission to dig in their town. She didn't want the evil energy to be released. However, Will lies, saying she's only clearing the area for Penny's pipes and needs to sign consent papers. Rose, wearing this shirt, wants her mother to tell the diggers where not to dig. We also see Dick, a military officer, visiting his colleague Leroy's house. They have a great time eating lunch here, and he also reveals to Leroy the shocking fact that he possesses a third eye. This means he can see things that normal humans can't, and some people don't even believe exist in this world, like spirits and entities. Meanwhile, we see the 4 children working on their plan, and gathering evidence to save Ronnie's dad. They knew there was some evil energy making the children disappear. They had to summon that evil energy. Therefore, they sit inside the graveyard, lighting candles. Rich begins doing some incantations and reciting some holy verses. But initially, nothing happens. Ronnie thinks it's all a staged scene. As she takes Lily and starts leaving, the real truth is revealed. The negative energies surround them, taking over their minds. The path they were trying to escape from suddenly turns into a portal. The more they cycle to enter the portal, the further they move away from it. Inside this portal, they see their 3 dead friends are there. Suddenly, the ground begins to crack. They panic and try to escape. But Lily, controlling herself, takes pictures of everything so she can gather evidence. Will, meanwhile, gets separated from them and in a trance is drawn to an old building. Will goes inside and sees a terrifying old, pale hand. Will takes a picture of it, and the entire group, standing outside the building, sees only flickering light from inside. They thought Will had disappeared like the rest of their friends. But luckily, Will returns, and they are relieved. They went to develop the photos they had taken and found that most of them were pictures of their friends' souls. But behind them was a dark shadow, tall and with glowing eyes. After developing all the pictures, the children immediately went to the police and presented them as evidence. But the police did not believe any of Lily's stories. They even refused to look at her evidence, believing that souls do not exist in this world, and even if they did, they could not be seen. This time, a clown-like figure was seen in the photos, whose eyes were glowing. The police said that it was just a statue with lights placed inside its eyes. The children became very sad and could not understand. They fear that the elders won't believe them. Everyone returns home, and Bill is the most depressed. Bill's mother believes school is the reason for Bill's sadness. Therefore, she suggests he skip school for a few days. Bill stays home, and Leroy takes him on a picnic. However, Leroy's car breaks down on the way, forcing them to stop at a lake. While Leroy is repairing his car, something pulls Will closer to the river, and Will sees the same entity inside, but this time in the form of his father, who had no eyes. The entity begins to pull him into the water, causing him to scream loudly. Leroy sees his son drowning and immediately rushes to his rescue, pulling him out of the entity. Leroy sees claw marks on his son's hand and realizes he was attacked. Here, in the same river, they see a red balloon floating, and this makes them realize that there's an evil entity here, some evil power that's harassing them. Meanwhile, at school, Lily's old friend, Marge, has joined forces with new people. These new girls plan to tease and bully Lily again. Marge is deeply saddened. Marge was about to tell Lily all this and warn her. But suddenly, something overwhelms her. She becomes possessed. In other words, some entity begins to possess her. She becomes terrified. Her glasses fall off, and then her eyes begin to bulge out. Screaming in pain, she runs into another room where her condition worsens. She takes out her knife and tries to stab in the eye. And when Lily, who had come to stop him, sits on him and tries to stop him, all the other students come here hearing the screams, and everyone believes that it was none other than Lily who killed Marge. Here it is shown that General Shro takes Lily to a room where Dick is already present, and some psychic experiments are being conducted on him. As we already know, Dick has a special eye. He can also see monsters. Therefore, he tries to see the monster that has taken over Derry through the memories of a boy. He goes into the past through the visions and sees that this creature had fallen from the sky to the earth as a fallen star millions of years ago. When people learned about the creature, they made a dagger from the pieces of that fallen star. That is, a dagger that can kill the creature. The dagger was a viable way to fight the monster, but even that proved extremely difficult to control. After weakening it, a young girl broke the Vaughn star into 13 pieces and pressed them into a circular area in Derry City, trapping the entity within. Before the Vion was destroyed, the boy told Dick that they would need to go to the tunnel beneath the old well to find the pieces. After Dick exited the Vion, the boy was taken away. The general then reveals to Sharai that the boy in whose Vion Dick had been this time is actually the son of those who have been protecting the pillars for centuries to prevent the monster from harming Derry. The military also discovers the secret house that housed the well, and upon walking through it, they could find the pillars. At this point, we learn that Sho also had a nefarious plan to find these pillars. He knew that the power had been dormant for centuries and could still be dormant, but he wanted to awaken this power so that he could attack his enemy countries without anyone suspecting that it was a U.S. ploy, and thus win the war without endangering the lives of his people. Roy, hearing this plan from Sho, becomes extremely angry, as it could endanger not only the enemy country, but also their families. The scene cuts to Lily visiting her friend in the hospital. Her friend still survived, but she had lost an eye. Lily apologizes to her, and it's revealed that Lily would have been taken away by the police. But Marge had lied and saved Lily, saying that the accident happened because her glasses broke and hit her eye. The scene cuts to Lily returning to the same place with her friends, but these people used to go. Here they see Maddie, who is extremely weak and scared. He tells them that Pennywise, the creature, has deliberately kept him alive so that it can gain power through his fear and become stronger. Maddie tells them that Pennywise, their friend, is also alive, but he cannot speak or move. Mary explains that Pennywise, the creature, sleeps during the day, which is why he has the opportunity to escape. The scene cuts to a city scene where Ronnie's father is being led towards a bus in handcuffs. Suddenly, a commotion breaks out, and someone tries to attack the man, believing that Ronnie's father killed his son. The scene then cuts to General Sho meeting Rose, who tells Sho that she is regaining old memories that she had lost due to some medication. She tells them, "I remember that creature very well. It's very dangerous. I know it can be controlled, but if we use it to harm others, we'll definitely be in danger, because I know it'll be difficult to control. If you use it to destroy someone, it will destroy you too." To fulfill their purpose, Rose gives the military the dagger, which no one but Rose's son could use. Dick, who had gone inside the vein, had discovered the entire history of the creature. They now enter the tunnel with the dagger, and this is where the truly dangerous journey begins. Meanwhile, Lily gathers all her friends at the place where they used to meet. Maddie has also returned from the sewers and tells them not to go down there to save the others. But Lily forces everyone to go down into the sewers and rescue their remaining friends. Before leaving, Lily gives everyone her mother's anxiety pulse so they can regain control. On one side, the army is entering the tunnel. On the other side, we see that these children have also entered the same tunnel. As soon as they enter the tunnel, Pennywise, the creature, brings out their fears to the children so that they can use their fears to strengthen themselves and separate them. These children are separated, and their vions begin to frighten them. Meanwhile, inside this tunnel, Dick begins to see vions from his childhood, which are meant to frighten him. Similarly, other ordinary soldiers also experience strange vions. They see a yellow-eyed creature killing others. They become frightened and start firing at it. Rose's son, who had come to help them, also drops his dagger from his hand, and Leroy sees his wife standing there. Leroy's mind was strong. He now understood that this wasn't his wife, but a false one. It was a shadow of him that Pennywise was showing him. So he shot her, and that was the end of it all. All the visions vanish in front of the children, and they regroup. Suddenly, they hear a strange rustling sound behind them. Looking back, they are in for a terrible shock. A corpse emerges from the water, none other than Maddie's. The body is so badly damaged, more than half eaten. Seeing this, they are horrified and realize that the Maddie they've been talking to all along is actually Pennywise, who has come in Maddie's form to scare them and take control. Thinking that the children are now sensing the truth, Pennywise reveals her true self to them. He transforms into his terrifying Pennywise form. He may have been a clown, but his appearance was terrifying. Once he was in his true form, he pounced on the children, killing them. The children ran for their lives, but Lily fell and was left behind. On the other side, Lear and his companions heard the children's screams. In the darkness, Leroy saw his son, Will. But Lear, thinking it was a hallucination, shot Will as well. Leroy's companion, knowing the child was real, stepped in front of the child to save him, and Will was saved. While Leroy's dying companion tells Lear not to let go of the creature. Meanwhile, we see Pennywise now appearing before Lily, taking on the terrifying form of her father. He repeatedly shapeshifts, changing his appearance and scaring Lily. First, he takes on the form of Lily's father. Then, he mutates his face, making it terrifying. Half his face appears distorted, with his eyes and nose all distorted. Seeing this, Lily becomes even more frightened. He bares his thousands of teeth and charges towards Lily, ready to attack her. But he suddenly stops because the very dagger that could kill him, the one Pennywise feared, was glinting underwater. Lily spots the tanker, and sensing it as an opportune moment, snatches it away. The scene cuts to show that Lear and his remaining team have returned from the tunnel and are being interviewed. Lear had explained everything, but he no longer wanted to be a part of this mission. He had shot his son inside the tunnel. Luckily, his son survived, But now his best friend has died because of him, and he no longer wants to be a part of this mission. He only wants to save his family and friends. On the other hand, we see the tunnel scene again. As Lily picks up the dagger, the first vice, frightened by its glow, disappears. Here, we also see Dick, who has been trapped in the jungle for a long time. He manages to get out of the jungle with great difficulty. This time, we see that he is extremely tired. Suddenly, while walking, his colleague appears in front of him. The same colleague whom Loy killed. Suddenly, Dick notices that the box his grandparents gave him as a child opens with a flash of light, revealing the very energy Dick always feared, the very energy that gave Dick his third eye. His grandparents had locked that energy inside the box, but now it's open. The scene cuts to a flashback to a mental asylum in 1935. A nurse picks up a little girl, takes her to a secret location, and tells her to chase a red balloon and catch it. As the girl chases the balloon, Pennywise appears, and the scene cuts to the present. In the present, we see Lure deeply disturbed by the death of his partner, taking out all his anger on Will. Roy tells Will that his friend died because of him, and Will replies, "I will never abandon my friends the way you abandoned yours." Roy becomes enraged, slaps his son, and Will runs away crying. By the time Roy realizes his mistake, Will is already far away. Here, we see Lily show her friends the dagger that scared Pennywise away from her. Lily tells everyone, "I think we should go back into the sewers and use this dagger to kill Pennywise once and for all." Hearing this, Ronnie becomes extremely frightened and refuses to listen to Lily, saying that Lily is putting everyone's lives in danger. This leads to a fight between the two. Lily assures him that she doesn't want to kill anyone, but their argument escalates. Their friend, Rich, tries to break up their argument, but fails. This results in the group splitting up and separating. Meanwhile, we see Dick, who has entered the old building that leads to the secret tunnel. But now, we see that his mental state is deteriorating. He hasn't slept in a while and is seeing dead people everywhere. Leroy then goes back inside the same secret building to ask Dick for help. But Dick refuses to help him, saying that he's been affected by his efforts. His third eye, which his grandfather and grandmother had closed, has now opened, and he sees dead people everywhere and is harassing him. The scene then cuts to Lely, who was at school at the time, sitting alone. He still had the dagger, and he was currently experiencing strange visions that the monster was emerging from inside his desk. In a rage, he threw the dagger over the desk. She steps out of the room, and when she regains consciousness, she sees everyone staring at her. Unable to understand anything, she leaves the classroom. After all this, all the friends meet again at the black spot, the very place where Pennywise was supposed to be. But Lily doesn't come here because she's on a mission of her own. She wants to find out the truth about Pennywise. She goes to her mother's old house and finds some very old pictures from Edic. From these pictures, she learns a shocking truth. Her own mother used to go to the graveyard disguised as Periwinkle and stalk children so that Pennywise could appear before them. Lily is devastated by this and asks her mother, "Why did you do this?" She explains, "Actually, My dad was a circus clown. He used to dance in the circus disguised as a clown, and his name was Pennywise. I loved him very much. But then one day, during a performance, he went backstage and never returned. The police tried desperately to find him, but couldn't. My mom had already died, and so, after Dad's death, I was completely alone. To ease my grief, I started working at the asylum, and I learned from the children at the asylum that Pennywise comes to the asylum. I was overjoyed to hear this. I thought my dad had returned, but he didn't come every day. I longed for a glimpse of him for a long time. Then I learned that he came here to pick up the children. Then every day, I started taking a child to a secret place to see him, where the child would disappear. But I would catch a glimpse of Pennywise. Little did she know that this Pennywise was actually an evil creature, not their father. Out of love for her father, she kept sacrificing the children, and even today, she has no regrets. Learning all this, Lily becomes extremely frightened and angrily runs out of the house, screaming and riding her bicycle. Tension is rife among the people of Derry. They believe that Ronnie's father is kidnapping and killing all the children. Now that he has escaped from prison, people are extremely scared. To control the crowd and reduce their panic, the police know they must find Ronnie's father. To capture Ronnie's father, everyone surrounds the Black Spot building with first aid kits. The scene then cuts to 1908. We see Pennywise performing at the Bob Grace Circus. At that time, Pennywise was very famous, and children were crazy about him. After finishing his performance, as Pennywise returns to his room, he finds a strange child with a twisted face who asks him, "Will you help me find my parents?" Pennywise agrees and follows him into the woods to find his parents. However, he never returns. The police launch an investigation, but no one finds Penny again. Only her blood-soaked clothes are found, leading the police to assume she must have been eaten by wolves. The season returns to the present, where everyone is now trying to find Ronnie's father. Dick tries to stop Ronnie's father from leaving, knowing that people are furious with him and will kill him. But when Ronnie's father refuses to listen and comes out, the sight of him inflames the public, and they set the Black Spot building on fire. Within this raging fire, Dick sees the evil creature that had been scaring him all this time and strengthening itself through his fear. Thanks to his third eye, Dick now sees many more creatures and spirits, and he becomes extremely frightened. Meanwhile, the other people present, the main characters of this season, somehow manage to escape the fire. We see that all the children were also present at this Black Spot. Marge and Rich were also inside the Black Spot building. To save Marge, Rich locks her inside a box and lies on top of her, sacrificing to save Marge's life. We see Lily's mother again dressed as Periwinkle, the form she used to dance in the circus, and goes out on the street. At this moment, Pennywise appears before them and attacks and murders a girl. Lily's mother, however, watches silently. It's then that Lily's mother realizes that the Pennywise she thought was her own was not a human being, but a demon. Her loved ones had passed away. This demon had simply assumed Pennywise's appearance, which allowed him to play with Riley's mind for a long time, extracting sacrifices from her children. At this point, Pennywise also realizes that Riley's mother has become aware of his intentions. Therefore, he reveals his true form and his true powers, scaring the girl to the extreme. Lily's mother survives, but goes insane.